What's going on, guys? My name is Andy and you're watching Midwest Lifestyles. I've had some good feedback from some of you guys of some different things that you'd like to see. So in this video we're going to show you how I make a deer like this turn into a nice European skull mount. Nice and bright, white, clean. Remove all the tissue and membranes and turn it into something nice to hang on the wall. So I'll show you a little bit of the process that I take to get it from this to this. I'll show you some of the things that I use and maybe a few tips that I've picked up along the way. There are 100 different ways to do this. This is just the one that works for me. So I'll take you along and we'll see what we can do. So the first step here, a customer will bring me a deer head, and your job for step number one is to get the hide off however it's easiest for you. None of this will be saved at this point, so if it's in pieces or if you want to start up at the ear, come in from the neck, start by the jaw, eye, whichever you prefer. I like to use this Havilon knife. It's nice because it has these replacement blades that are fairly cheap. So if you break a blade or you go through them quicker than expected, you just pop the blade off, throw a new one on, and you're good to go. And then I do like this buck knife. It's a stiffer blade, built really well, durable. I think they have lifetime warranty even, so you can beat up on it a little bit. And then I just have a hone here that I like to sharpen every once in a while. So I will get started on this here, and then we'll go on to step number two. Now that we've got this pretty much prepped for the boil, I like to do one little step here. I'll take this plastic wrap and I'll wrap it around the base of the antler. What this does is will just kind of prevent any discoloration from the boil. I don't put bleach in the boil, but I do have the degreaser, which is Dawn dish soap, in the water as it's boiling. But this just kind of ensures that the horns are taken care of. You can see that there's some stuff where the bucks have been making some rubs, and I think that's pretty cool character. So it's not something that I want to intentionally take off. One little step like this will prevent that from happening. And when you're skinning out the head, the tissue, the hide, goes all the way up kind of underneath the bird. And so if not all of that is out, this will trap enough heat and moisture in there where it'll make it loose enough for me to pull it right off when I take this off. So we won't have to worry about that. One other preventative maintenance step that I like to do. A lot of what I do is try to do preventative maintenance. I do not like doing things twice. I don't like having to redo them because you didn't do a good job. So basically this just helps with the heat. I'm sure I could have the same exact outcome if I just did the saran wrap and didn't do the aluminum foil. But this way, I know that it's going to be done right in my eyes. And then when the deer head sits in the boil, the kettle of water will be on its antlers like that. So I do like to put some aluminum foil up around the main frame. And this just ensures that the antlers won't get any hot spots from resting on a hot kettle that has boiling water for a few hours. So I like to put that on there, just maybe a peace of mind. Maybe it really truly does help. I've seen a lot of other guys do it. I did not I was not the first person to do a European mount. I definitely learned from talking to people who've done it, from watching people on YouTube, and then just the experience of doing it yourself. So these are a few steps that I like to incorporate in my process. That way, I know I won't have to recolor any antlers, everything will be natural. This deer skull is ready for the boil. For part of my outlook when I started this Midwest lifestyle deal, it's not to get big and famous and get all the views and everything. It's just to kind of document a little more of what I do on annual, seasonal, daily basis. And part of that, when I was thinking about it, was a lot of people just have the mentality of go to their job, maybe work out, maybe not. I haven't worked out in a while. Go to their job, they get in their routine, and they talk about all these big things and all their dreams of going to fish in Alaska, going to hunt this animal, going to this state on vacation, going to this beach, going on these hikes. And part of what I'm trying to do here is just to tell you guys that just do it, plan it. If you're wanting to go fish in Alaska like we did this past summer, start planning it now and go in 2 years just like we did. Make it happen. And I'm out of my element doing this stuff, so I thought I'd have an interest in it, and it kind of took off. I've got some friends and family that are supportive and some customers letting me do their deer heads, and I think I'd make a good product. So whatever you want to do, just go and do it. Plan it. And that's kind of my outlook on life with my family. We're gonna do a lot of fun things and make a lot of memories down the road. And part of that is being organized and planning and making those someday thoughts and dreams a reality and happen. So I'll continue picking on this. We'll get the boil started, and we'll see you on the other side. So what I've got here are the two heads. They both fit in the same kettle here. I filled this up with water. I got the propane started up. And we will set the heads in and see how we want them situated. What I look for here is I want the base of the antlers about the same height, and I want the water to be above the skull plate. I don't want the antlers on this head being this far in the water. In this one, the antlers aren't in it at all. Once again, I think it just prevents some issues that may occur down the road. So I'm gonna add a little more water to this, and then what I like to use is Dawn dish soap. It'll extract some of the oils out of the pores of the bone, and it helps break down that tissue a little bit more. And like I said, just pull out the oils is what would cause the bone to start to yellow or change color. You can always re-bleach them down the road, but if you do a good job pulling the oils out to start and you bleach it the right way, they turn nice and bright white. And I have a few in my basement from years past that are just as bright as the ones that I'm doing. So we will add some more water here, and then we'll just keep an eye and monitor the boil here. So they've been boiling for quite a bit. I'm gonna pull one of these out and check on it. And what I'll do is let some water drain out of the head. I'll bring it back over to the table. And I will try to open up some of this tissue just so that it comes off a little easier in the boil. I'll crack that there. You can kind of see there's a thin layer. So I'll get that going a little more, kind of expedited in the boil. But I'll pick on it, pull some chunks of what I can get off now, boil it a little longer, and then I will be spraying it out with a pressure washer. We are done at the car wash. I got those 2 heads sprayed out. We're gonna head back home, do some picking on them if we need to, but it's pretty convenient using that car wash there. They got hot water. I use soap right away as well. I think that helps a little bit. I don't have to mess with my hoses, and we're good to go for just a few bucks. So we have got this skull boiled out, picked on it a little bit, and now it is time for the whitening process. But first, kind of wanted to show you a little bit of what I use. This is on an air compressor, and it just kind of helps to get some of that tissue that you can't quite get out or doesn't want to come out as easily. Helps loosen it up a little bit and get some of that matter out. These are forceps, and I'm by no means I'm a doctor, but they work very well for getting in places that you can't quite get with your fingers, and you can grab onto something and pull it out. So I got 2 different sides of those. And then right here, I kind of feel like a dentist, but I kind of feel like this is what they use at the dentist when they clean your teeth. A couple different angled picks, you might want to call them. Just helps to loosen the tissue off the bone. Like I said, there's a lot of little crevices and orifices. And then for my knives, the Havilon knife, my buck knife, and then every once in a while you might need a screwdriver. Flathead screwdriver helps. But that's everything that I use to get the skull as clean as it is now. And the main purpose when you're doing a European mount is, yeah, you want to get it white and looking nice, but if you don't get all the junk out of there, all the meat and tissue, that's what starts to turn yellow over time. That's what starts to stink. So you want to make sure you've got it out everywhere. A lot of it likes to hide behind the teeth. So you can see it's discolored still at this point. I'll show you how I mix up the whitening, and we will get that spread on and let it sit, and she'll be done. We're gonna go ahead and begin the whitening process now. And what I use, the way that I was taught from a taxidermist that I used to use, he has since moved out of state, but thankful that he's taught me how to do it his way. You go to the beauty salon and it's this basic white, extra strength whitening powder. It's just a powder, pretty basic. And then you get this 40 volume hydrogen peroxide and you mix it together. This is liquid, this is a powder. You make kind of a paste. And the consistency that you're looking for is something that's gonna find its way down into every crack and crevice, but not as if you were to just dump straight liquid on it and just drip off. For one, you don't want it to drip up onto the antlers, onto the burrs. And for two, you want it to stay on there because you're gonna keep it on the skull for about 36 to 48 hours. And at that point, you're gonna rinse it off and it'll be bright white. So we'll go ahead and get this mixed up. I'll cover the whole skull everywhere I can get, in the brain hole, up the nose, in the eyes, all the teeth. And from there, we'll let it sit and do its work. These two skulls are ready to be rinsed off and finished up. This is what the whitening paste that we put on kind of turns into after about 36 to 40 hours. And one thing that happens, one of the realities that can happen that a lot of people probably don't show if they're doing Euro mounts, is sometimes these nose pieces right here, they'll come off when you're cleaning them or spraying them. Nothing is broken. Basically the connective tissue where this bone kind of slides into place in the nose gets washed away and cleaned off. So sometimes the nose bones will come loose or just come off like they have here. What I did was just whiten them like normal, and they will pretty much slide right back into place, and I'll put probably 1 or 2 dots of Gorilla Glue on the interior part of it, and it'll look just like you skinned the head out. So it's not a big deal, nothing is broken, no bones have broke, just the tissue is kind of worn away, and those pieces have come out temporarily. But you'll see when I'm all done here what I mean, and we'll get them looking perfect, just like these two. These nose pieces were out as well. You can see that they are in there perfecto. So we'll be back. I'll get these rinsed up and we will get it all finished up. I'll show you the final steps here shortly. Again, we are behind the scenes of what may or may not go on for other people, and it definitely doesn't happen every time, but when it does, you slide them back into place, throw a dab of glue on there, and they are good to go. I just wanted to show you the reality of what could happen if you were to do this on your own. I just want to show you every step that I take. So you may have noticed when I was spraying heads out or whatever that maybe these 2 pieces were missing. And that is because sometimes they slide right out. Nothing was broken, like I said. You can see that transition where they slid right back to where it was supposed to be. And this one's pretty cool. It must have broke its nose at some point in its life. This is exactly how the bone was when I scun it out. They grew apart and it's a little bit deformed. So that's pretty cool. Cool character. We will get going on the last and final step here, and you'll have yourself a nice European skull. So we are ready for the final step on these skulls. As you can see, I've got the nose pieces back in place. They're right where they need to be. Everything looks good. The skulls are clean. The paste I put on is washed off. The bone is then again dried, and we are ready for the final touch. By no means am I taking credit for the idea behind the final touch here. What I do is based off of what I've learned from a guy on YouTube, White Bone Creations. He does a lot of skull work. He's very good. I love his videos. but he uses Mop and Glow. I believe it's a floor cleaner. Basically, it is a white liquid, but it dries clear. So you put it on the skull, on the antlers, everything. And it kind of has a fresh citrus scent. Not that these smell like anything because they're clean bone and clean antler, but it does make it a little nicer just having a little fresh scent. And then it seals up any of the pores that are still open, any of the real tiny pores throughout the skull. And doesn't make it shiny or glossy or anything like that. It just, I think it's a nice touch to add to the skull mounts. So we'll show you a little bit of how I put it on, and then they'll be hanging on the wall. All right, we have finished these two skulls. And they are ready to be hung on someone else's wall for their trophy. Thank you for watching the video. I know there's 100 different methods of doing it. I'd like to try a few others myself, but this is what works for me. And I hope you give it a try if you've ever been interested in doing it.